My old shoes. Rashid was very angry while looking at his old shoes.
How many times did I tell you? I don't want to see you. You became an old, absolute pair of shoes. Oh Allah, where I'm going to hide you? My father will not buy me a new shoes unless I get rid of you. But where? I hid you in the storehouse. But my mother had found you, and my father called me careless because of you.
In the meantime, Rashid noticed a tree standing high near the house, which brought an idea to his mind.
I will kiss you up this tree. Perhaps the sparrow would make a nest out of you for the squirts, so you can be a source of happiness for them.
Rashid carried out his plan and then ran to the top floor, where he stood behind the window of his room, observing his shoes and the birds on the tree. He woke up the next day to the voice of his father saying,
"A careless boy, you do not know where to properly put your things."
What? Oh, my shoes! I tossed you up the tree and hid you completely from sight. But it seemed that my cat found you and proudly dropped you to the ground right in front of my father, hoping to be rewarded with a delicious meal.
Rashid stayed all day thinking hard of a good place to hide his shoes, until the night came and darkness prevailed. However, he was still looking out of the window, raising his head up the sky, saying, "Here are the glittering stars lining up next to each other, drawing a pretty and shiny pair of shoes like no other on earth." He remembered those times when he accompanied his father to the beach and recalled the way he watched the little boats, imagining them as shoes floating on the blue water, sailing with no sails and struggling with waves. Sometimes they overcame them, and other times they got cast to the shore.
Rashid noted his mother's voice calling him.
"Rashid, Rashid, where are you, son? Look what I brought you."
Rashid quickly jumped out of his place, wondering, are they the shoes he's been wishing for every minute of every hour? His mother gave him a nice book about a brave prince wielding a big sword who fights evil everywhere he wanders. Rashid looked at the book with deep love and gratitude, saying,
Thank you, Mother. You know how much I love to read, especially the stories about courageous adventurers.
His little fingertips quickly started to flip the pages of the book and kept staring at that prince who used to wear different shoes for every adventure. Rashid long wished to be that prince who fought evil and wore brand new shoes for every adventure. The next morning he woke up. Rashid saw his shoes and remembered that new and shiny shoes his friends wore to school.
How many times those shoes derisively pointed at his old pair. He kicked his old shoes to the corner of his room and kept crying and screaming.
I'm sick of the pathetic way my friends look at me because of you.
Suddenly, he heard a loud noise that almost deafened him, and started to think out loud.
What if it was the sound of rocket preparing for takeoff, which I can attach the shoes to, so it flies high to the sky and another planet far from Earth? But I fear that an alien would find it and takes it upon himself to search for the blue planet and ends up throwing the shoes on the top of my roof. Or should I put you in the railway, so the biggest train ever made by man would rip you to pieces?
Rashid kept thinking of a solution to save him from the shoes, until he was interrupted by his mother's voice.
Rashid, take out the trash before you go to sleep. Oh, I have a terrible idea. I will toss you in the garbage truck that will take you to the garbage collection site, where you will be grounded and buried in the deep blue, so I get rid of you forever.
Rashid jumped in joy as he fell upon the best way to dispose his shoes.
Oh, the garbage truck has arrived.
With chattering teeth, he said to himself,
Now, it is time to carry out the plan.
He concealed the shoes under his armpit and climbed down the stairs quietly.
Here he is, face to face with that car.
He looked at his shoes meticulously. You will not get away this time. While raising his hand to throw the shoes in the truck, Rashid heard the sound of footsteps approaching him. Is it possible that one of his parents found out his plan and followed him to keep him from doing it? He turned around to find a child of his age, with torn clothes on and a pale face, peeping into the garbage box.
Rashid was looking at the boy with compassion while thinking.
What a sad boy.
Suddenly, the boy turned to Rashid and pointed to the shoes, saying,
What a happy boy. You found this treasure before I do. I have been looking for such shoes for a long time, to protect my feet from rocks, thorns, and winter's cold.
Rashid could not say a single word. He just took his shoes back home quietly. And here he is, looking at his pretty and shiny shoes.
Rashid went to bed, but not like any other night, since his eyes were staring in the dark, wondering how many children are dreaming of a pair of shoes like his. And once he thought that he was the most miserable kid on earth.
The next morning, Rashid went to school.
How strange! The other shoes didn't derisively point at his old pair, but here they're pointing to them with admiration. When it was time for the morning parade, Rashid asked for the permission from the radio's official to talk to his schoolmates and say,
My friends, it's a nice thing to wear shiny shoes, but more importantly, to know that there are many children who don't have shoes to protect them from harm. There are many children whose feet were amputated because of war, so they cannot wear shoes even if they were available to them. Therefore, I suggest establishing a committee to collect the clothes and shoes we no longer need, and we can fix them as far as possible during the activities class, and then distribute them to the needy families with the help of our beloved school management. Happiness, my friends, is not to wear pretty and new things, but to extend our hand to help the needy and poor.
Everyone was surprised at the bold idea, and their eyes were directed towards their colleague Rashid, whose tears were pouring down while making a pledge to himself to exert all efforts to bring joy to everyone's heart and keep away sadness.